Hi again, my creative friends, it's Finnabair, and again I'm in my studio sitting on my sofa, and that means this is another video journal. And in this kind of video I will be talking about things that may be important, or maybe you were asking questions on social media and you wanted me to talk about that topic. First of all, I have to underline, I am not a professional when it comes to solving the mysteries of the world and looking for the meaning of life, or general inspiration and will to create, but I have maybe some ideas and some maybe some point of view that will be helpful for some of us. So I will try to talk about the inspiration and the style a little bit, and I hope you will find it interesting and helpful. So the topic for today is where to find inspiration. And when I talk about inspiration, I mean more an inspiration in general, what will be the sources of inspiration and what will be the good ways of dealing with lack of inspiration, instead of inspiration for one particular project, because this is kind of a different subject for me, I think. Well, let's start. I've made a script so I won't get lost, hopefully, in all I want to tell you. And in the first thing I would like to underline, I think sources of inspiration, they really differ depending on who you are. Different people look for inspiration in different places, and this is because they have different taste, different style they have in their own creativity and the taste they have for certain kind of things. And style and taste, they are two things deeply connected with each other, but also connected with inspiration. So what is generally the style? I would say this is our personal preference for picking some things over the others and then using them to express ourselves. And you can think about it, it's like creative vocabulary and grammar. So let's say we've got certain elements we like to play with. It may be color palette, and it may be certain kind of orientation of the project, some balance, some contrast, typical elements we would like to include. Maybe, for example, some people love to create including birds, they like to include flowers, or they would like to use some tissue tape. Some people like stamping. These are the elements of the vocabulary. And then there's a general mood, atmosphere, the feeling, the topics that we are interested in. Maybe some people like to create mini books where they use family photos, and some people are interested in assemblage and using found objects, and some people are really interested in delicate watercolor landscapes, right? These are the elements of the vocabulary, and depending on what we like, we are going to look for the inspiration in different sources. So if this is vocabulary, then the grammar is how we use these elements together to express ourselves. So the certain ways we make these elements click. If we talk about personal style, we take these two things, so the elements, atmosphere, color palettes, moods, a certain selection of elements together with the way of the operating them, and that is the style of the person. And you can very easily sense the style of some people. Very likely there are some artists that you can tell the name just looking at one project very quickly, and this is kind of what most of the artists, they want to have in their life. They want to have this easy to recognize style, but that means they are going to look for the inspiration in the certain ways or the certain places as well. We have our ways of learning. In the past, people were saying people are mostly learning by looking or by listening. Then they started saying, oh, no, there are some people who are learning by moving as well. So there are different ways of absorbing the knowledge. Now we know it's more than that. People keep discovering that there are really big differences between people, and they need different kind of stimulation to get them to the maximum of their capabilities. And it's just the way you have to learn what you really need for yourself. I'm maybe a little bit passionate about education in general, so that's why I'm putting all these little info in between. But I think the best way to really find the great sources of inspiration for you is to focus on the ways you absorb the knowledge and what really works for you first. So try to think what would be the things that make your heart flutter, how you get excited about things, what things attract your attention. Try to look through all that in your head, make like a little brief, just like your own manual. Think about you're trying to explain to somebody what kind of person are you. Try to create in your head this little manual that these things work for me. I learn by listening, and I really like the soft voice, and I really like to do something when I'm listening to something. So that may be the way you should be looking for inspiration, right? That's the first hint. Look at your ways of learning and look at the things that get you excited. So first of all, when we're looking for the inspiration for our own creativity, our own projects, that means we have this will to create and we have something to say, or we release the emotions by creating things and we want to keep going because that makes us feel better. So this is the first part of the whole story. We know why we want to do it. We've discovered what is the source of our need to create. And then we can make sure we will keep, ourselves interested, passionate and curious. This is I think it's the key. We should be curious. So once we have something that we like, we should follow that path. It's like a little thread you can follow, and then on the way, very likely, you are going to see more of the things which are going to attract your attention. They may be kind of really random things, so it's good to learn how to filter the inspiration as well. But it's the first step, your natural curiosity that will push you towards something. So let's translate that into examples. Certain people would be looking for inspiration in the music because they love the emotion that is happening when they listen to certain kind of music, and they're able to transform these emotions into the visual projects. There is a lot of art which is inspired by music, or people like to listen to stories. They absorb the stories, they read the stories, and then they're going to be, again, building some kind of tension inside that wants to be released, and that would be the source of inspiration. So the music, the books. Some people were very sensitive to people's emotions. They may be just, absorbing the emotions, and then when it is all accumulated inside, they process that, and that turns into art. Another ways would be looking at the nature. Some people really gather their energy by being surrounded by nature, and they love the inspiration that comes from the beauty of nature, beauty of the flowers or trees or birds, but also not always it's going to be the beauty, it's going to be the power of nature. It's maybe also the cycle of life. It's endless, right? These they are sources that you could really list for yourself, and then think, okay, if these are the things that make me interested and curious and full of passion, I should be going towards that source. Okay, so that is like it's like a short list you can make for yourself. You can even write it down. This, and this. These are the things which are important for me. You're not sure how to tell the difference between things you just like and the things which are really important, you can just try to think, yes, you should follow the things that make your heart flutter. For example, let's say you really love architecture, you're interested in architecture, but when you see Gothic church, your heart just bursts with joy. That's a hint. Follow that path. This is the way to find the sources of your natural inspiration, that probably there's something in the lines of these windows and columns that is just, just your language. So you should focus on that. The same thing, I discovered that I absolutely love being surrounded with old objects, like old things people were using before. I love old books, old photos, household items. I love the story that is hidden inside of them. So for me, kind of natural process is to go and look for the ones that are really giving me the this lovely fuzzy feeling inside, but also surround myself with them at home. So when I look at them, I feel like they are so beautiful, I want to do something with them. So that's it's just good to really pay attention. It's one of the important things when you are a creative person. You should pay attention to what your heart is telling you. Try to really be good to yourself from time to time and have this kind of inner conversation. Like, if you see something which is beautiful for you, don't question that. It means there is something in it that you can process into your art. Something that is going to be a little sparkle, that is going to maybe turn into a big flame. So keep it safe. Keep that somewhere in your mind, or maybe take it with you, or just make like a mental note. This is the topic I should check later.